Hey everybody, Trolley Boy here, the troll you can trust. Back with the Walking Dead Roast 5 video featuring the beautiful, weird, insane, crazy Princess. I do want to say with the introduction of Princess, taunt has now become a very big deal. And pairing Princess with Anna is going to be a very strong attacking combo. I'll talk more about this in the team comp section. As we can see here, we have two Indomitables of each color except for red. So I would imagine in 1.5 to 2 months, we can expect a new red Indomitable, which will have to either show Dev up or have a skill set to where Dev lacks in a team setting. Even though Princess has the highest attack stat out of the other Indomitables, her damage output comes up short when it comes to her Adrenaline Rush, as it is only 250% damage to one enemy. Her defense stat is awesome, sitting at a base of 1700, which is only 24 defense less than Magna's, as Magna's base defense is 1724. So we can get a very good idea of what a 1700 base survivor will feel like with buffs. On top of all that, she comes with Indomitable, which means if you don't take precautions to set up a one-shot Adrenaline Rush on her, then you will struggle to kill her. Her health is low, but that is due to her having high defense with Indomitable, so somewhere along her defense stats has to give or be a bit lower than the average here. With health and defense combat mods to then be scaled from leadership skills and weapons can easily make up for the low health pool, so she can create a bigger and stronger defense to make better use of Indomitable. Her Adrenaline Rush reminds me of Dwight's Adrenaline Rush. Hilariously large amounts of text. We get mediocre damage to one enemy, which we would want to have her deal the killing blow with her Adrenaline Rush so that she not only kills that survivor, but out of the remaining 4, 3 of those will be taunted rather than using her Adrenaline Rush on someone that doesn't kill them, which during that same turn, you then finish that survivor off, basically losing one of your taunts. Same idea as when you want to maximize the most out of a Shiva's Adrenaline Rush. Next up in her Adrenaline Rush is she self-heals for 60%, which is a good bit of HP to regain. The last bit of her Adrenaline Rush is she will Pain Split for 3 turns with another teammate. Pain Split can sometimes be a double-edged sword, in which it can help you out, but depending on the certain circumstances, it can also be a thread that can be pulled on that will kill your team. In the case of how tanky she is, and that Indomitable will proc when Pain Split is activated, gives her a nice survivability. Her active is Taunt and Elusive. 3 enemies will be taunted for 1 turn, and Princess gains Elusive for 2 turns. I honestly don't think you could have asked for a better combo than this for Princess, knowing what her Adrenaline Rush does. Let's look at this situation right here. Turn 3 comes around and you need to do some damage control. Use her active to taunt 3 on turn 3 to give yourself Elusive, then on turn 4, use her Adrenaline Rush to taunt 3 more again. While she is being defensive here in this situations as well, she is also applying offensive pressure with her weapon, making sure anybody that attacks her has a greater chance of applying 600 bleed damage. All around a very sound and well put together survivor. If you're looking for ways to counter Princess on the enemy team besides the typical stun, confuse, taunt trio that can effectively be used on everyone, then I would say look into a defense down such as Harlan and a high burst damage survivor such as Red Jesus. Moving on to her weapon. Seeing as she comes with a special weapon mod with her bleed, which is interesting as I'm not 100% sure if a double attack weapon or a double attack Adrenaline Rush can proc this twice, which can actually be a pretty big nightmare, as teams probably weren't prepared to bleed out of their asses. I would say keep the bleed, buff the defense twice to 40%, and switch out the AP for AP when attacking, or AP when taking damage. Which one of these is better? My personal take on this is I think you're going to want both, but it all depends on what you currently have at your disposal. I'm not saying to remove the defense from the weapon and put AP when taking damage and AP when attacking along with the 600 bleed, but I would say try to get one of those as a leadership and one of those on her weapon, as we can potentially set up a 2 out of 3 turn control setup. Here we see a turn layout on a minimal level for Princess when attacking. Turn 2, we would use another survivor's active, which could give us control of multiple enemies, such as Anna, who can taunt 3, and then you can proceed to alternate between Anna's active and Princess's Adrenaline Rush and Princess's active. So once you hit turn 3, the next 2 out of 3 turns, Princess can control, so just bring someone to fill the void, such as Anna, and using her taunt, which is just as an example. Now let's take a look at combat mods. Let's look at something for attacking and for defense. Our first set is attack combat mods, and it's a defense set to go with her Indomitable. we go Health Combat Mod to make up for our low HP, Attack First Yellow as we are on the offensive, and if we plan on using her in advantageous situations, then we can apply some more pressure. If you plan on bringing her in a Dante Eugene Madison setup where it's green-blues, then you may need to slap a Defense First Red, so that in the case of a red AR hitting her, we will hopefully have a few Indomitable stacks, and that Defense First Red combat mod can help her stay alive. Stun resist for the red and green stun weapons, and stunning Indomitables is their kryptonite. We pretty much don't want her to be shut down on turn 1, so stun resist and confuse resist for the green-red stun weapons, and disarm Michonne's confuse weapon. AP down or graze so that we can either have damage control through staggering the enemy's adrenaline rush through AP down, or we can take graze so that when we are hit, we have a chance to reduce any damage taken. This would be more along the lines if you want to utilize her bleed on her weapon more, rather than going for AP downing the enemy. As the longer she stays alive, the more people she can bleed to death. Defense combat mods are a bit more streamlined, as going for health and defense for a Indomitable tune just makes sense, and going defense while stunned, as that is one of the best ways to prevent Indomitable from working, as stunning an Indomitable is the best way to prevent Indomitable from working. Defense First Red due to trait disadvantages and confuse resist so that our survivor could at the very least use her active to cause disruption to the enemy. Let's take a look at these two attack teams. The first attack team revolves around a green-blue team comp with Madison leading the charge. Not having any HP or defense leadership skill should really make great use of AP when taking damage, as Madison gives that to her team. With this team, you could do this. You would basically have the same thing as I had before with the Anna and Princess chart when it comes to turn layout. You would do all this and rinse and repeat and laugh all the way to the reputation bank. If you happen to kill one survivor, turn 2, which is before adrenaline rushes start to pop off, then I have a hard time seeing this team lose, as you will have massive taunts and stuns along with confuses. Next team for attack is yet another Princess and Anna team, as I feel they are so synergetic together I have to combine them. This takes more of an approach to revive teams, as bringing Alpha for the decapitates. The taunts from Princess and Anna should buy enough time for Alpha to make quick work of the weaklings. And if you need the damage boost, Command Glenn is there to buff your team with attack, to eventually get the win. Let's look at these two defense teams here. First up, we'll call this first team Indomitably a pain in the ass. If you happen to raid this team and stuns are a heavy crowd control for you, then you might want to think otherwise. The Indomitables will have stun resist and defense while stunned, so if you don't nail a stun on the first attack versus an Indomitable, then you are looking at an uphill struggle, as the defense from Indomitable and the defense while stunned combat mod are going to stack very nicely. If you fail to crowd control them, then well, get ready for all of them to heal themselves. This team has multiple attack debuffs, taunts, and self-heals, along with maim and pain split, which are a good combination for people that can hold their own as individuals, as there is no one healer to kill on this team. The last defense team heavily revolves around impairs, taunts, and stuns. We throw confuse out and bring impair, as if we did taunt and confuse as a majority of our CC, then them bringing a survivor with focus can shut us down very quickly. So we go impair and sacrifice confuse. Magna to bias the first turn at a minimum, and potentially get some impairs in the process. 2 to 3 green survivors for their stun weapons, not counting Princess, to stagger the enemy adrenaline rushes, and create less pressure with damage output on basic attacks per turn. Once Princess and Shiva start taunting, your defense team will have great control. Dante for his revive and heal support and leadership skill. Depending on who is in your roster, Laura or Ivanova if you're looking for an impair-centric survivor. If you feel like Command is better suited than Laura or Ivanova to give your team more randomness, then bring Sadiq. And if you happen to bring Dante and 4 women on this team, we can call this team Strong Independent Women. And that's going to wrap up the Survivor Spotlight of the beautiful, weird, insane, crazy Princess. Thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed the video, it made you laugh, bored, you think positive, please give a nice karate chop to that like, subscribe button. Make sure you leave a comment down below. Support's greatly appreciated. And other than that, I'll catch you all in the next video. Bye-bye.